He stepped into the crumbling house with million-dollar shoes, only to find the woman who once rocked him to sleep, curled up on the cold floor beneath a threadbare blanket. He froze, and everything changed in that moment. The town hadn't changed much. The bakery on the corner still smelled like cinnamon and smoke. The cracked sidewalk still bore the initials he'd scratched in with a stick when he was 7. But the mansion where he grew up? Abandoned, overgrown, forgotten, like the people in it. Noah Cross had left this town 30 years ago in the back seat of a car driven by his mother's lawyer. He was 11. His father had just died, the will had sparked family chaos, and within a week, everything he'd ever known was gone. He'd never returned. Not once. Now, at 41, he was a billionaire, tech investor, philanthropist, the kind of man who people bowed slightly to when he entered a room. But today, he wasn't here for business. He was here for her. Her name was Lourdes, the nanny who raised him, bathed him, fed him when his mother forgot. She was his everything back then, his protector, his warmth, his world. And yet, in the chaos of leaving, he'd lost her. No letters, no calls, nothing. It haunted him. But then a letter had arrived at his office, handwritten, sloppy, shaky lines. It was from a neighbor in the town. The old woman who used to work for your family, she's still here, still waiting, still alone. Noah hadn't hesitated. He booked a jet and came straight back. Now he stood outside the tiny cottage she used to rent. Paint peeled from the doorframe. A broken porch step sagged beneath his weight as he knocked. No answer. He pushed the door open gently. Inside, the air was stale with dust and silence. Furniture mismatched and sparse. No television. A single coat hung on the wall. Then he saw her. On the wooden floor, beside a makeshift bed of blankets and newspaper, curled up like a fragile child, was Lourdes. His throat clenched. Her hair, once rich and black, was now white and wild. Her hands were gnarled, her frame thinner than he remembered. And yet, her face, the soft cheeks, the warmth, it was still her. Noah dropped to his knees beside her. "Lourdes," he whispered. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused. Then slowly, they locked onto his. She blinked hard. "Noah?" He nodded, lips trembling. "I'm here." Tears streamed down her wrinkled face. I thought you forgot me." His voice cracked. "Never. I never stopped looking for you." Noah gently helped Lourdes sit up, wrapping his coat around her frail shoulders. The coat practically swallowed her whole, but she smiled through tears as if it were the warmest blanket in the world. "I thought you were a dream," she said, her voice a fragile whisper. Noah shook his head. "I'm real, and I'm never leaving you again." He looked around the room. Mildew in the corners, a broken lamp, half a loaf of dry bread on the table. It wasn't just poverty. It was neglect, isolation. She had been forgotten by the world, except by him. "How long have you lived like this?" he asked gently. She shrugged, embarrassed. "Since your family left. I stayed. I thought maybe someone would come back. For years, I told myself you would." Noah clenched his fists. Rage boiled beneath his grief, not at her, but at himself, his family, the time he lost. How could no one check on her? How did the world let someone so good fall through its cracks? "You raised me," he said softly. "You held me when I was sick. You sang to me when my parents were out drinking. You taught me how to tie my shoes, how to read bedtime stories." Lourdes smiled faintly. "You were my joy, Noah. You gave my life meaning." He helped her stand. Slowly, carefully. She winced at the stiffness in her legs, but she leaned on him, trusting. He guided her out the door, one step at a time, as the morning sun poured in. Outside, A sleek black car waited at the curb. The driver jumped out, confused, but Noah waved him off. He opened the door himself and gently helped Lourdes into the back seat. "We're going home," he said. "Where's home now?" she asked, eyes wide. "With me," he said simply. The ride to the city was quiet. Lourdes watched the world pass by with the wonder of someone waking from a long sleep. Noah sat beside her, already making calls. Doctors, nutritionists, home care staff. But more than logistics, he was making promises. To himself. To her. Back in his penthouse overlooking the skyline, Lourdes gasped. "This isn't a home," she said. "It's a castle." Noah laughed, the first real laugh in years. "Then you're the queen now." He had a guest suite prepared within the hour. Plush bedding, fresh clothes, warm lights. He sat with her while she ate fresh soup, every spoonful a small miracle. She was overwhelmed, but she never stopped smiling. Later that evening, he stood at her door. "Sleep well, Lourdes." She looked up, teary again. "Thank you for not forgetting me." He stepped in and gently kissed her forehead. "You never left my heart." As he walked away, he realized something. He had built companies, made fortunes, traveled the world. But tonight, for the first time in decades, he felt truly whole. Because the one person who loved him before the world did was finally home. Weeks passed, and Lourdes began to bloom again. Her color returned. Her cheeks filled out. And though she still moved slowly, the stiffness had eased from her joints. Every morning, Noah had breakfast with her. No phone calls, no meetings, just them. For the first time since childhood, he found joy in silence, laughter in memories. But he also noticed something else. Sometimes, when she thought he wasn't watching, she would trace the patterns on the marble table or glance nervously at the chandeliers, like she still didn't belong. She never took more than she needed. She folded her clothes with care. Once, he even caught her trying to wash her own bed sheets in the laundry room. "No, Lourdes," he had said, gently stopping her. "You've done enough for a lifetime." She smiled, but said nothing. One afternoon, as autumn settled over the city, Noah invited a few of his closest business partners for dinner. He wanted them to meet Lourdes, not as his nanny, but as someone who shaped his life. As they gathered around the long mahogany table, he stood to give a toast. "Many of you know my story," he began. "What you may not know is that behind every successful man is someone who believed in him before anyone else did. For me, that person is Lourdes." He gestured toward her at the head of the table. She looked startled, then shyly smiled. "She taught me how to speak with kindness, how to listen, how to survive when no one else had time for me. She gave me love when I didn't know what it meant. And when we left this city, she stayed behind, waiting for a boy who never came back. Until now." The room was still. A woman beside him, Noah's lead investor, leaned forward. "Why haven't we heard of her before?" Noah paused. "Because I was too ashamed to admit how much I owed someone who had nothing." Lourdes's hands trembled slightly in her lap, but her eyes, full of warmth, locked onto his. After the guests left that night, Noah found her in the study, staring at an old photograph he'd unearthed. Young Noah in her arms, both beaming. "I remember this day," she said softly. "Your parents forgot your birthday. You cried all morning, so I made cupcakes with toothpaste icing and sang to you until you laughed." He chuckled, eyes misting. "That was the best birthday I ever had." Lourdes turned serious. "Why now, Noah? Why did you really come back?" He sighed. "Because I had everything and felt nothing. Success, power, recognition. But I couldn't shake the guilt. And one night, I dreamed of you. You were still waiting. I woke up and booked a flight that morning." She was quiet for a long time. "You came back when it mattered," she whispered. "That's enough." But Noah wasn't done. "I want to give you something," he said. "Not charity, not pity. A future." He opened a folder on the table. Inside were documents. A deed. "I bought the building you used to clean. I'm converting it into a women's shelter. But I need a director. Someone with heart, patience, and strength. Someone like you." Lords's mouth dropped open. "Me? But I'm no one special." "You're the most special person I know." Tears flowed freely then, on both sides. That night, they stayed up late, talking, dreaming, remembering. It wasn't just a reunion. It was a rebirth. Because sometimes returning to where you started doesn't mean going backward. It means going home to make things right. Months later, a crowd gathered in front of a red-bricked building that used to smell of cleaning bleach and old wires. Now, it bore a golden plaque. The Lord's Center for Women and Children. The ribbon stretched across the entrance like a bridge between past and future. Noah stood at the podium in a crisp suit, the autumn breeze fluttering through his speech notes. But he didn't need them. 30 years ago, he began, this was just another forgotten building in a forgotten street. Just like I was a forgotten child in a big house that never felt like home. He turned slightly to Lourdes, standing proudly in a simple but elegant dress beside him, her silver hair tucked beneath a floral scarf. "But one person remembered me, one person believed in me, and now it's time the world remembers her." Applause burst like sunlight. News cameras flashed, reporters scribbled. But Lourdes... She just placed a hand gently over her heart, eyes glistening. After the ceremony, Noah gave her a private tour of the building. Every wall was painted in warm pastels. The nursery smelled of lavender. Shelves were stacked with books, blankets, diapers, hope. All this, because of me?" she whispered. "No," Noah said, smiling. "Because of us." The shelter quickly became more than just a building. It became a sanctuary. Single mothers found safety. Abused women found refuge. Abandoned children found someone to sit with them at night. And every time someone asked, "Who is Lourdes?" the answer was simple. She's the woman who saved a boy and now saves the world, one life at a time. Noah, meanwhile, changed too. He stepped back from the cutthroat pace of business, took fewer calls, built more homes, spent weekends helping out at the center. For once he wasn't running from the past, but honoring it. One evening, he sat on a bench outside the center, watching children play hopscotch on the sidewalk. Lourdes joined him, carrying 2 cups of hot cocoa. "I still can't believe you did all this," she said. He chuckled. "I just paid for the bricks. You gave it the soul." She smiled. "You grew up, Noah, but you never stopped being that little boy with a big heart." He looked over. "You never stopped being my family." Silence settled between them. But it wasn't empty, it was peace. Because sometimes, the greatest riches aren't found in bank accounts or boardrooms. They're found in redemption, in righting old wrongs, in the eyes of a woman who once rocked you to sleep, and now rests in a home built with the love she once gave away for free.